Ready to roll?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Welcome to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshaar, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending. Remember, NFM Lending is an equal housing lender. My license number is 117266. Alrighty, so you gotta get through that detail there every week. But if you have not ever listened to Reshair Radio, let me tell you a little bit of what it's about. So the goal of the show is to excite, educate, and empower Charlotte teens to make sound financial decisions. Now, there's nothing I can really do to help you do that all by myself, but I do it with a team of people each and every week. And so we talk about real estate, finance, investing, insurance, really kind of anything related to your personal finances and hopefully how you can create wealth over time. I am a loan officer. We do talk a little bit about mortgage lending, but surprisingly, we don't really do a whole lot of that. We talk more about real estate and taking care of your home and tips to selling your home. Anything sort of real estate related is usually a general theme. So if you haven't listened to the show, we welcome you to the show. If you have listened to it in the past, we appreciate that. And I will point out at the top of the hour here that each and every week after we record this show, we pop it onto the reshairradio.com website, so you can listen to any show in its entirety out on the website. We even do podcasts, etc. So there's lots of different ways you can catch a show in its entirety with lots of different themes and topics. But I think really the best part about the show is bringing in expert contributors and special guests that really make the show super, super powerful. So what I'd like to do first is introduce our expert contributor, Preston Sandlin from Home Inspection Carolina. Preston, welcome back, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chris.
You doing okay today?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a January day, and it's not snowing or not raining, so I'll take it.
That's right, yeah. It's definitely been a cool, I'm assuming not necessarily cool, but a wet year.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh, it's been so wet.
It rained for, I don't know, like 8 straight weekends. Because we can always tell, our phone rings for home inspections on Monday and Tuesday if it's a nice weekend, because people are out looking at houses. Nobody wants to go look at houses when it's raining, and it's like 7 or 8 weekends in a row.
Exactly. So what he's really trying to say is we need callers. We want buyers, we want people who need home inspections. So Preston, tell us a little bit about, I know you've been running Home Inspection Carolinas for many, many years. You're a founder and president, and you really run your business all over the state. But tell us a little bit about Home Inspection Carolinas, what your company does, etc.
Oh yeah, cool. Home Inspection Carolina, we do home inspections, termite inspections, radon testing, and we're primarily in Charlotte, but we're expanding into Raleigh and Asheville as well. And when somebody buys a house, it's usually one of the biggest investments. It's their dream, and I just like having a little small part of that. And we just want to protect them and make sure that they're, not getting into something, going to get hit with some unknown cost afterwards. That's our primary.
You're really the surprise maker, or keeping them from surprises? I don't know. It's all about surprises in your business.
Yeah, surprises in real estate aren't usually good.
Trying to avoid them for sure. So, well, obviously you offer a lot of services. I will point out that you've been a supporter of our show for a number of years. Just because you own a home already doesn't mean it's a bad idea to have you come out and check for some of these things if it's been a while.
Oh yeah. Maintenance inspections is a really good idea. Because things like shower pans and things like that can start leaking, and if you catch them early, it's not a big deal. But if it goes on for a while, it's going to be a rather expensive repair.
Let's keep Preston in mind throughout the show, those listeners out there that might need his services, whether you're buying, selling, or just an existing homeowner, and it's been a while since you had your home looked at. So let's go ahead and introduce our special guest here, Horace Bryant from Bryant Realtors. Horace, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, super excited. We spent a lot of time sort of preparing for today's show, and I'm just really kind of excited because you've really put a lot of thought and detail into what you want to share with our listeners. But before we sort of go into all that, I usually like to ask our special guests, you've been in the business, I think, since 2005?
Correct.
2005, so you've been doing this business for a while. You're licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, probably Florida next when you're ready to retire. I don't know.
But it would be a great place to retire.
That's right. But tell us, how did you really get started in the real estate business? Because you do this full time now.
That's correct. So again, thanks Chris for having me. Great to meet Preston in person as well. We do a lot of business together. So as you mentioned, I've been in real estate for over 20 years. Also worked in the financial services realm for many, many years. Moved to Charlotte in 2000 and realized when I came to Charlotte in 2000 that real estate would be a great career. Did it part-time initially and then started Bryant Realtors in 2005 and have been loving it. Been loving helping folks and being here in Charlotte.
Well, I think the key word there is helping folks, right? That's part of, I think, what we all do, even though we're all a component of that process. It's really, I take pride in what I do every day in helping that American dream come true for every particular buyer that I work with. It's, sometimes I'm more excited than the home buyer. It's like, are you crazy? Like, we just got you this house. And they're like, oh, thanks. I'm like, no, like this is a big deal, right? But it is super fun to do that. So you've been in business in the financial industry. So how did you sort of shift into real estate full-time? Because you said you started part-time.
Yeah, so, I realized very quickly that it's easier waking up every day when you work for yourself. So as I was doing real estate part-time and working in the financial services world, I just got to a point where I had so many relatives and friends and folks that were moving, south to Charlotte, and the business really picked up. I enjoyed what I was doing. It sounds like somewhat of a cliche, but I really enjoyed helping folks buy what's probably going to be the single biggest thing that they ever buy, which is a house. It's bigger than a car. It's bigger than electronics. It's the single biggest thing that they do. And so it just became easier and easier to say, you know what, I want to wake up to do something that I love, and that's something that helps people realize a dream, which really is the American dream.
Which really just you kind of answered my next question, really, which is, what do you like most about real estate? But I'm hearing that, the flexibility, kind of owning your own business, and really at the end of the day, it's making that American dream come true.
And helping folks, yeah,
right,
absolutely.
helping people. Yeah. So, I know that years before I was in the mortgage business, I was working as a school counselor, and I was helping kids over at West Charlotte High School. And it was a great 4-year run that I had over there. I really enjoyed my service. But there was something really super exciting about kind of controlling my day, right? And maybe not being part of such a big organization that impacts how you feel about work every day, right?
Yeah.
Having that autonomy to kind of run my own business. Now,
Absolutely.
I do work for a company, but a loan officer really is 100% commissioned professional, right? So
it's almost a business within a business. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So they're not paying me any money to work there unless I'm out hunting for business,
Absolutely.
right? Building relationships
Absolutely.
with good guys like you. So,
Absolutely.
so before we wrap up this 12-minute segment, because it happens so fast, I want to give you a few minutes to give us your opinion on what you see happening with the market. I've spent the last, I think, 3.5 years running the show here. And every time we talk about the housing market in Charlotte, everybody's like, it's going crazy, it's nuts, it's so busy, I can't keep up. But what are your thoughts today?
Yeah, Chris. So as you mentioned, I do business in quite a few markets, North Carolina, South Carolina, and we have a pretty big presence in Atlanta, as well, in and around Atlanta. But I think the Charlotte market really is at a crossroads, and it's a good crossroads. Over the last year, obviously, we've seen that rates have edged up slightly. There's some talk, obviously, from the Fed that we're going to see a little more of that this year as well, possibly. I think that, we're seeing a lot more millennials that are moving into our market here in Charlotte. I see that in some of our other markets.
Yep.
And I think that if we're able to cater to them and understand their needs, that I think the Charlotte market really is on a plane to really have a really good and positive year. As we look forward this year.
I would agree with you. I think we have seen the volume of business normalize.
Yeah, that's the word.
I'm
Absolutely.
using very careful words here.
Well, it was
Because
so good for so long.
it was so busy for so long that when it's not crazy busy, people go, oh, the market is slowing down. And it's like, well, it's not really, it's really more normalizing, right?
Absolutely.
Because typically when a buyer tries to buy a house in any good economy, that house, the number of homes on the market, there should be a 3 to 6 month supply of homes.
Absolutely.
That's normal. We literally went 2-3 years with a 1 to 2 month supply of homes. So we're now starting to edge back to where we're closer to the 3 month supply. So I want people to really listen to our counsel here today, and that is, you know, when you talk to the general public or you hear stuff on the news, people will say, well, the housing market is slowing down, rates are going up, and it very quickly goes from boom to bust, and that's not really the case, right? If you're not careful to pay attention to the real indicators, it's really normalizing, and I think what that means for buyers today who were bidding up and up and up and up on houses just to get them may actually now be able to shop for a home here over the next few years and maybe not compete against 10 people. Maybe put an offer in and not have to push way above the price and then wonder if it's going to appraise. So I, like you, agree and say that the market is normalizing. I think Charlotte is still a good market.
It's a great market, Chris, and it's a great time to buy, a better time to sell. But I agree. I think you're seeing much more of a balance between the supply and the demand.
Yeah, so I think it's good news for buyers, maybe not as good news for sellers, but particularly if you're in that first-time buyer range, you're 250, 300,000 or under, where a lot of first-time buyers are buying today, it's still going to be competitive for a while. There's still going to be low inventory because there's just a lot of demand and really not much that's affordable in those price ranges. The builders aren't building stuff at 150,000, right? Builders today are starting home prices at like 280, 300 by the time you throw in upgrades. So the market is going to continue to get expensive, particularly for those first-time buyers. So it's going to be a good year. I'm excited. I think we're headed in the right direction for sure. So I appreciate your perspective, and obviously with you working in those other markets, you have a bigger perspective than the average realtor that we see here on the show. So, well, we got a lot to talk about. So I just want to remind you, you're listening to Reshair Radio and your show host, Chris Reshatar, and we've got our guest coming back up, and we're going to be talking about tips for the move-up buyer, and that means anyone that currently owns a home that's maybe bursting at the seams, wants to adjust, get closer to schools or closer to work, whatever it might be. This show that we're going to be talking about is all going to be about you, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.